Welcome to Thieves' Cant, a tabletop gaming podcast, with your hosts, Jeremy Shane and Chris White.
And welcome back, welcome in. It is Thieves' Cant, Saturday, June 28th. I'm Jeremy Shane.
And I'm Chris White.
Last weekend of June.
It's over. We're halfway through. This is my new voice. What do you think?
I like it.
Is it?
Please continue.
Of course.
Yeah, we're halfway through.
We're halfway through 2025. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't get it.
Are you going to keep that new voice throughout the entire episode today?
Let me see. I've got half a pack of Salem's left, so we're going to see how it goes.
Thanks again for joining us today. It is Thieves' Cant. Remember, you can always follow us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on YouTube, all the places. We're on social at Thieves' Cant Cast, YouTube at Thieves' Cant Podcast. You can always email thievescantcast@gmail.com. Coming up in today's episode, the winners are in from this year's Origins Game Fair. D&D releases a new Unearthed Arcana, and in our crowdfunding spotlight, we've got Wyrms.
We have for a long time, but now it's official.
And our main topic is all about getting a new role-playing game to the table. But first, the Thieves' Cant question of the week, which deals with ending your game. And Chris, when it comes to wrapping up a tabletop role-playing game campaign, do you tend to plan the end in advance, or do you follow the course of action to its logical conclusion?
Kind of both. I think you plan for every scenario, especially in a moment like this, right? I mean, it's going to be big. It's going to be important. So then you just you follow the course of action that makes sense. But you should already have a pretty good idea of what's going to happen. I mean, really, in most of the time, 2 or 3 scenarios is about all you got to come up with, and it's going to reflect that ending.
Right. So whenever you're within a couple sessions of wrapping up, you really start to let it crystallize in your mind?
You know, for me, it's probably way before that. It's just because you're thinking, you're like, oh, I wonder what'll happen if they do this. I wonder what'll happen if, what if they do kill the Lich? Or, what if the Lich kills all of them? You know, what's going to happen? You know, so you're thinking that way throughout the campaign, really. So then it's just a matter of following the course as it flows, right? You're all telling the story together. And so once the story's told, you conclude it. I mean, it usually feels pretty natural. It may not be what everybody wants, but it feels pretty natural. Yeah, no, I like your idea of a hybrid approach. You know, you want to be responsive to character choice, to character. You know, what they do should matter in game. Obviously, they're the stars of the story. Yeah. But if you've got that climactic moment in mind, and you're dead set on getting that in, how can you weave those together? Yeah, that is the challenge. It is. Shall we get to some headlines? Oh yeah. Let's go.
Origins Game Fair went down June 18th through the 22nd in Columbus, Ohio. It was the 50th anniversary of Origins.
Congratulations.
Very impressive, making it 50 years. And, of course, as always, part of the Origins Game Fair are the Origins Awards. Want to run down the winners list?
Sure.
All right, we've got the co-op solo game going to Marvel United. That's from Asmodee. Mm-hmm. A gateway game goes to Seaside from Hatchet Board Games. A best party game is Flip 7 from the Op. A best heavy strategy game is Endeavor Deep Sea from Burnt Island Games. If you're looking for the best light strategy game, that goes to... do you say this? Fromage? Fromage. Fancy.
That's what I do.
From R2I. Best fixed constructible game. Compile Main 1 from Greater Than Games. Best randomized constructible game. Not a surprise, this goes to one of the Magic the Gathering sets, the Bloomborough Collector Booster Box from Wizards of the Coast. Bloomborough, Chris, was Magic's, because I know, you don't keep your toes in the Magic pool. But Bloomborough was their, we've talked about these cozy RPGs. It felt kind of cozy. It had little mouse warriors and and frog wizards.
Some
and,
Redwall action there.
Yeah, a little Redwall to it. Pretty cool. Miniatures core product. That goes to Star Trek Into the Unknown, Federation versus Dominion. The core set from WizKids. I regret not being a bigger Star Trek fan.
Really?
And I suppose that's a regret that I could
remedy.
Easily remedy. But
I believe and would argue that Star Trek The Next Generation is the greatest television show, greatest television series ever created.
Not just sci-fi series?
No. It's really good. It's really smart. The characters are written well. They develop. It's great. I love some William Shatner and some old school Trek, but Next Generation is, look at the cast. Patrick Stewart. Who doesn't want to have Patrick Stewart as their captain? He's playing a flute. He's drinking tea. Yeah, it's awesome. It's great.
All right, best miniatures. That goes to, not that Baldur's Gate 3 set from WizKids.
Now, we just built WizKids up with this Star Trek set, and you're tearing them down.
This one goes to Fool's Gold Miniature, the Tarrasque from Hit Point Press.
Oh,
I need to look that one up.
I want to see this.
I've never seen a Tarrasque Mini.
I've seen them.
And you
this
lived?
Won the award. I want to see it.
Best miniature paints / hobby accessory, AK Interactive Real Colors marker set from AK Interactive. Great markers, I'm assuming. Award-winning markers.
Yeah.
And now we get to the two RPG products that are in the award winner list. Best RPG core product goes to, I'm going to try to pronounce this correctly, Yaziba's Bed and Breakfast, or would it be like Yaziba? How would you say that one? Say it in your cool voice.
Yaziba. I don't know.
Yaziba's Bed and Breakfast. That comes from Possum Creek Games. They describe it as a slice of life tabletop RPG about a heartless witch, a peaceful house, and all the folks who have made their home inside.
That describes a lot of marriages.
It uses
not mine.
Right. It uses preset characters, quick play chapters, and an adaptable rule set they say is unlike anything else out there. It takes less than a half hour to learn how to play and get started. But with new chapters and secrets to unlock, folks can stick with the game for years and years. We're talking about getting a new game to the table in our main topic today. I'm telling you, a game that you can learn in a half hour.
This could be fun.
That sounds pretty good.
This could be fun. It's won the award, so somebody likes it. I mean, interesting.
Best RPG supplement, finally, we'll wrap it up with Call of Cthulhu, No Time to Scream from Chaosium. 3 new short play scenarios. It's a short anthology book. Each scenario, again, perfect for a single evening of mystery and horror designed to be played in around 2 hours. And they include, for each scenario, 4 pre-generated investigators, along with full-color maps, handouts, everything you need for your Call of Cthulhu one-shot.
I would definitely be interested in checking these out. Hint, hint.
Yeah.
Nudge, nudge.
I like products with a clear focus like this.
Yes.
This is intended to be played in just a couple of hours. Low commitment, right? At least on the player side. I don't know how hard these are to prep for a GM, or for a keeper.
Right. Not everything needs to be a sprawling campaign.
No. That's a lesson that we've had to learn over time, right? D&D has released a new Unearthed Arcana. I don't know if you saw this. Revamps of 7 existing arcane-themed subclasses plus 2 new arcane subclasses.
The Tattooed Warrior Monk and the Ancestral Sorcerer are new. Everything else is a revamp of some sort. It's good to see Arcane Domain Cleric thrown in. I know in years past this was one I threw in some multi-class mixes.
Yeah,
I like some of what you got there. And Arcane Archer, it's actually my son is playing an Arcane Archer right now.
Oh, cool.
I'm really enjoying it. So I hope they were able to improve on it a little. I think the older one is it's effective, but it's not super fun. It doesn't seem like it would be to me, but hopefully they got that fixed. Hexblade Patron was in one of the previous Unearthed Arcana the horror-themed one, I think.
Okay.
Maybe.
And that was the one that came out fairly recently.
Yeah.
Right?
So we need to take a look at this and see how different this one is. I'm very curious, though, about the Conjurer Wizard, the Enchanter, the Necromancer, the Transmuter. What are they doing in Unearthed Arcana? We just had a player's handbook come out. What year was it? Oh, yeah, 2024, right. With all of these inside. So,
and we've already got revisions now.
Interesting.
So if these, and again, anything in Unearthed Arcana is not canon, it's not official, right? So if it does become official, it'll be interesting to see, like, in what format.
Yeah. Is this just an alternative? Is that what we're going to do? Is alternatives to subclasses? Like hey, if you didn't like the first time we did it, here's another take. Is that right. Going to be the approach?
Or if they go with the revision, will they just change it out on D&D Beyond, and that's what you get?
That's what it is.
If you're playing on Beyond versus your book, I don't know.
That's interesting. We may have to dig into this a little deeper.
Yeah, in a future episode, we can dig into these a little more. If you'd like to take a closer look, maybe do some comparison between what's new and what's come before.
Absolutely.
Sure. It looks like the feedback survey for this round of Unearthed Arcana will open July 3rd. July 3rd. So if you've got thoughts, they want to know. That'll do it for headlines. Let's head over to our crowdfunding segment. We got Wyrms. It is the Book of Wyrms from Cloud Curio, now funding on Kickstarter. Chris, this is a system-agnostic zine of Wyrms for your tabletop RPG. So flexible, no stats that you're going to slot into any specific game. Just 24 pages, full color, packed with information, all about a variety of creatures spanning from tiny to gargantuan, mischievous and clever to downright sadistic. They've got bookworms, earworms, all the way, I guess, to maybe some great worms as well. Each worm comes with lore and either prompts or tables or items to incorporate into your own game.
And no stats.
No stats, right? So you're just getting a lot of flavor, a lot of story, and just some cool, interesting new creatures to work with. $20 gets you the PDF and a physical copy. You can get the PDF alone for just $10. It is fully funded. It does have 18 days to go from this time of recording. So something cool to get behind if you're so inclined.
Yeah. I mean, something fun to read and look at. It's going to have all the illustrations in it. So, I mean, for $10, the PDF.
Sure.
That might be fun to go through and get some ideas.
And I like having something flexible that is not specific to a singular game. Don't get me wrong, I like that content as well. But if you can give me something that has utility beyond the game that I'm running right now, even better.
Yeah.
All right, so again, that is Book of Wyrms from Cloud Curio over on Kickstarter. And with that, that's headlines, that's crowdfunding. We are on to our main topic today. It is a session of The Lowdown.
The Lowdown.
Today it is the lowdown on getting a new tabletop RPG to the table. What are the challenges? What are the considerations? They are aplenty.
They certainly are.
Now, we have our own thoughts. We'll get to those in just a bit, but we figured we'd share some responses that we received over on the RPG subreddit. Again, what are the challenges you've experienced in getting a new game to the table? Chris, you want to start us off?
Sure, I will. Tristable says, I've found that play testing with one or two people before bringing everyone in on it is also working well, as they can help answer some of the questions and things, and it doesn't all get bogged down on the GM to answer every single concern or question. It also helped me learn how to better teach the system, so that way the first-time experiences of the other players goes more smoothly.
Makes sense. So
it's a good idea.
A small play test group before the entire group is committed to it. Let's play with the system in a very low stakes situation. Not a lot of pressure on anybody involved here. I love the point that he makes about it helps him learn how to better teach the system. That raises a very important point of consideration in bringing in a new game. Like, who has to learn this thing? Well, you hope everybody will learn it. But generally, there's one person who's going to try to master this system and try to effectively communicate how it all works. That's a tall order on a GM.
That is, because you're trying to run a game for the first time, and now you're having to walk everyone through every step of the process. So, yeah, I mean, and this happens in games you're familiar with, right? There are always those players that kind of have the GM's back, right? You know, it's like, I don't remember what the rules for grappling were. And they're like, well, it's this, and this, but it's on page 47 if you need to look at it. You know, having those people at the table is a huge help, right? It means you're not having to micromanage every step of the process, or another player has a question and they can kind of lean over and be like, it's you had this bonus and this bonus. That's all it is. So having those players there, great. And so having them be on board with you through introducing the new game, huge help. That's a great idea.
What if you don't have them?
Then you suffer. Then you have chosen the path of pain.
Indeed you have. We have walked that path.
We have, yes.
Moving on, Playtonics, thanks to Tristable, by the way. Playtonics says, this is a robust response. Playtonics says, I run 2 weekly sessions for different groups. The Tuesday crew has been playing for 5 years, with the vast majority of that being 2 5e games. After the second one wrapped up, I managed to get them to try out new games as a palate cleanser. 3 of us spent time rotating as GMs, running 1 to 4 one-shots before we settled on another longer campaign. This group really needed hand-holding with how to learn new rules without being overwhelmed. But once the seal had been broken, it became easy to convince them to try something new. The Sunday, should we pause there?
Okay,
respond to that?
Well, yeah. I mean, we can kind of address the situation here. So sounds like he's got a group that was really locked into 5e. The GM was, it sounds like, had enough of 5e, wanted to try something new, and maybe it had enough of GMing. He needed a little break too, right?
Sure.
Which we all get.
Right.
I mean, going back to the previous question, how great is it when the players can start becoming GMs?
Oh, yeah.
When you can actually play.
Right.
If that happens, because there are people that never happens to.
I can just show up to a session. I don't have to think about anything between sessions. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, to not be the forever GM.
Right.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, some of the appeal of GMing is getting to spend that extra time in between sessions when you're up for it, when you want that.
Right.
Back to Playtonics, he continues. The Sunday crew is entirely different because they were recruited specifically to try out new systems. Now, that's an interesting approach that he's taken here. I like this. Mm-hmm. He says, for anything longer than roughly 8 sessions, I'll run a session 0 with a rule summary PowerPoint on my living room TV, and we'll cover themes and expected styles of play. This is a really, involved session 0, right? He says, then it's character creation and seeding the world. For anything shorter, we'll fold that into session 1. It's a much faster process to recruit players who are keen on new experiences from the get-go. The Sunday crew have all become more interested in running their own games and bringing fresh systems they've kickstarted to the table.
Okay.
Thank you, Playtonics. A lot of good stuff there. Some different perspectives on different experiences.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, he's basically created a group that is made for playing these new systems.
Right. So what happens if that group, if the majority of them start to really fall in love with a particular system? I mean, you gotta nip that in the bud, right? Don't love it too much, because this group has been formed to play new things. That's what we do. Too. Because it is so easy to settle in to the one thing.
Right.
And there's value in that.
Of course. There's value in well, it really is, it's what you enjoy. I mean, if you guys are meeting together for 5 years or 10 years or 20 years and everybody is enjoying the game they're playing and they're cool with it,
you're doing it right.
You're doing it right.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. But if people are kind of getting bored, maybe especially, and a lot of this is the GM, man. Like if you're getting tired of running this and you want to try something new and you're like, I've got 20 different games on my bookshelf I never get to run and nobody ever sees, then there needs to be some versatility there. There needs to become a point where it's like, hey, we're at a good spot. Let's take a break from this and just try this new thing. that's a pretty healthy choice. I'm like you, though. I'd hate to be in the Sunday group and start enjoying something too much. I don't know, but it really sounds like this. He's got a system going, and he's got players that are into it, and he's had some good results. So
it sounds like an awesome couple of groups.
Yeah, if they want to play something different every session, I mean, if everybody's on board, great.
Let's head to the next one. I think you got this one.
Nolithral.
We'll go with that.
My experience is that the easiest way to do this is to either A, find something about this new game that people really vibe with, like if someone is frustrated that D&D isn't really anime enough for them, that might be a good lead into BESM or Exalted. Or B, find a new group who wants to try the thing you want to introduce. Me personally, I go with B every time. I'll propose a game to the folks I want to play with, but if there isn't enthusiasm, I'll accept that and poke other people till I collect enough excited, eager players to make a table. So this is sort of kind of gives the impression the opposite of Platonic's approach, whereas he sort of curated that group specifically for changing things up. The Literal is just saying, hey, are you interested in trying this new thing? No? Cool. We'll do what we've been doing, and I'm going to go find some folks that are.
Right.
Yeah, and doesn't sound like it's I'm going to take my ball and go play somewhere else.
No.
It's hey, we can keep doing what we're doing. I'm going to go find some people who are interested.
Kale R. Chase says, propose one-shots in a non-fantasy setting. I suppose if you're trying to break away from your typical fantasy game. He says, people are usually open to a good concept. Blade Runner, Roaring Twenties Gangsters, Pirates, if the investment isn't huge. All right, so this kind of goes back to the earlier suggestion of run that one shot with a small group. Keep that initial investment low. Mm-hmm. And then if it takes, grow it into that campaign. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm a little too ambitious sometimes. Mm-hmm. I've talked before on this podcast about my experiences running Masks of Nyarlathotep for Call of Cthulhu. It was the first Call of Cthulhu game that I ever run, and I decided way too ambitious. The entire party would have been better served if I had walked back a few steps, learned the system a little more, get acclimated, then take that bigger bite.
Yeah. I think you did a great job, by the way. I think everyone really enjoyed the campaign, but I see where you're coming from. Right. And plus it's, what do you do if you've got the sprawling 12-year campaign laid out and everybody starts playing it and they're kind of, are you going to stick with that? If nobody's really having fun with the system, it's untested. So a lot of these people are making the suggestion, hey, do some small stuff. If people enjoy it, expand, right?
Yeah.
Maybe leave that door open. Maybe you do your one shots or your two shots, but maybe it's, hey, the story's not over. It's not necessarily concluded. Or maybe it's concluded, but we can go from here. And I'm going to make a suggestion. This sounds crazy, probably. But what if, think about, okay, you're going to run this new sci-fi, fantasy, space exploration game, right? And you can't help yourself, right? The 12-year sprawling, multi-generational campaign. It's in your heart. It's in your mind. You know every step of what's going to happen, right?
We're going to tell our grandchildren about this one day.
Okay. I'm not inventing this, but I've seen people do this to good effect. Don't run that campaign. Run the one shot that is, say, something in the history of that campaign. Like another adventure that took place that might come up would be a cool reference. Throw the characters in there. Now it's a one shot. You can see how everybody likes it. You're not throwing them into your big campaign, but it's also something that happened, right? Something that you can reference later.
It becomes part of the lore of your setting.
Precisely.
That's cool.
So it's kind of like, maybe create those one shots within that bigger universe you have in mind, just to make sure before you invest everything in that.
Yeah. I mean, that is one of the, can I use the word delight? It is one of the delights of being a player is whenever your GM makes cool references back to things that either the character that you're currently playing has done, or, as you said, a previous character, an unrelated campaign.
Right.
Whenever those link, when they touch, it just shows you how rich this world and the story has become. I'm going to do it. I'm going to say it's a delight.
I think it is. And the thing is, that's the lore you don't have to remind your players of.
everybody knows
That's
it.
the
They
lore
lived
they
it.
remember. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That's right.
Yeah, good stuff there from Kale R. Chase. We've got one more.
Polo SM. No, Poyo. Poyo SM. We don't have such problems in our group. When we finish a campaign, we just look for the next game. If we want to play a new game in the middle of a campaign, one of us just take the GM mantle and run with it. Sometimes we are playing 3 or 4 different games at the same time. Sometimes even more.
Well, Poyo SM, I am envious.
Right. That's great. 3 or 4 different games at the same time. We're lucky if we have 3 or 4 different sessions in a year. Right. Sometimes it feels like.
Yeah. So a consideration, of course, is going to come down to how often is your group getting together to play?
Yeah.
Our home group, the one that you and I share, Chris, again, we're lucky if we get a game in monthly.
Right.
That's about the pace that we go.
Right.
So we've got to utilize our time wisely. So whatever game we do bring to the table, we do have to make sure it's something that everybody is into, that folks are invested in, that we want to continue with. And we do occasionally run something very short, a session or 2.
Again, Poyo, awesome.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah, if you're meeting multiple times a week with a group or multiple groups, then sure, you've got far more flexibility to try new things, to always kind of keep that rotation going.
Yeah. And right. It sounds like you've got a group of people who are down with that.
Yeah.
Like they're looking for the next thing. That was fun. What's next? And that's great. Like that I think that requires a certain level of enthusiasm. Maybe not everybody has. I think it's awesome. Like I think this sounds like a fun group to play with and play with frequently. So
thank you again to Poyo SM. Thanks to everybody who responded over on that RPG subreddit. All right, Chris, we've talked about and we've read about having multiple people who are willing to GM, having groups that are willing to try new things, or if they are not, you just move on and you find a group who is willing to try that new system. What if you are in the situation where you have a group as a GM and you want to try something else, but nobody else in the group is on board with it?
So I think, first of all, kind of present the ideas. Hey, here's why I would like to run it. I think it would be fun. And it would be a change of pace for me. I kind of need a break, right? I mean, just be honest with your players, and say let's just try it. Let's take a look at it. I think another thing you can do is minimize the financial investment. If you can say, hey, let's try it out. We're going to do a 1 or 2 shot, way easier sell, right? It's just 2 sessions,
right? And
we're going to say pre-made characters, right? You guys don't have to buy a book, you don't have to buy anything, and all you got to do is show up and play, and let's just give it a shot and see if it's fun. Let's see if it works. Maybe I'm wrong.
If you talk about low dollar investment, if there is a free quick starter set, something, utilize that, grab it. That's going to give you all the rules that you need to play that one mini scenario. Again, I think pre-made characters are essential for, if you're not diving into a full-fledged campaign and this is just a 1 or 2 shot, then don't worry about character creation.
You can't ask someone to make a financial investment, sometimes a substantial financial investment,
right?
For something that they're not really even interested in doing.
Correct.
It doesn't work.
Right.
I'm not going to lay down $60 for a hardcover book that I may never play this again, and it doesn't even look interesting to me to begin with. But if I can say, hey, it doesn't cost anything, 1 session, 2 sessions, let's give it a shot, that shouldn't be a problem. Hopefully your players are willing to work with you. First of all, hopefully they appreciate the fact that you're willing to GM, and if nothing else, as a show of appreciation, show your GM some love. If they want to try something new, try it, and give honest feedback. If you're like, gosh, man, I really hate this, then let them know. But at the same time, if it's like, hey, well, I don't like everything about it, but there were some parts that were pretty cool. Maybe they can tweak that. Maybe some changes could be made, or maybe it wasn't quite what everybody was looking for, but maybe it's out there.
Yeah, be willing to voice your honest opinion.
Yeah.
You can do so diplomatically. And, from the GM side, be willing to accept that feedback as well. I want to have fun at the table.
Everybody should be having fun.
So, I've got games that I definitely want to try out, but if ultimately it's going to suck because nobody cares, then I don't want to taint my experience that way.
Right.
I'd rather just keep it on the shelf than have a bad time at the table.
Right. And it may be, like was suggested earlier, if your people just don't want to play it, maybe try to find some people who do. Find some other folks who are interested in it. Maybe that group just isn't. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe they're exclusively interested in a fantasy setting, and you want to try, this zombie apocalypse setting. Well, okay, then maybe it's just time for a different group. You can keep the old group, obviously. But
right. Compatibility is a thing in every relationship, especially when it comes to group dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
When there's more than just two personalities. Making two personalities sync up is difficult enough.
Compatibility and compromise.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of it comes down to.
Give and take, baby.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, baby.
Anything else that we have not touched on? Challenges, considerations to bringing a game to the table? Any unvoiced thoughts that you've got, Chris?
Just, again, to the point of cost. I mean, it is an investment, not only in time, certainly, but financially, right? I mean, a lot of these RPGs, you're going to be spending several $100s on resources for everything that you need to run one of these games. And again, a lot of that burden is going to fall on the game master.
Always does.
So you have to bear that in mind. What am I going to need to run this? At minimum, what will I have to have, and weigh the cost?
Yeah. Weigh the cost. I think summing up a lot of the advice that we've received and that we've talked about, pitch it right.
Yeah.
On that thread, somebody made a great point. I wish I had it right in front of me. If let's say the game that you're trying to break the group away from is 5e, because it probably is.
Right.
Don't make your pitch about disparaging 5e. Sell what's cool about your new game.
Yeah.
Right? Rather than what makes you want to steer away from 5e, rather than list, these are the reasons I don't want to play 5e. Really just focus on the reasons you want to play the new game, and don't make those reasons about D&D.
That's a great point.
Right?
Well, it's, maybe it's something as simple as, hey, we've had a lot of fun in 5e. We've got some great stories. I love it. But I'd kind of like to try this OSR stuff, right? I'd like to try some of that more old school flavor.
Yeah.
Something, it's really different. The rules are different. I think that's a better sell than, look, 5e sucks. I hate everything about it.
Right.
No, don't do that. You're exactly right. Focus on the good things about this new system rather than trying to run the system you've been playing with down.
So pitch it right.
Yeah.
We've heard to start small. Great advice. Keep it short. 1 shot, 2 shot.
Yeah.
Maybe grab that starter set. Know your group.
Sure.
If you know that Jim Bob is not going to be down with your cottagecore game in any way, and he never will be, well, then maybe spare him the question.
Yep.
Don't ask him to play that game. Have cheat sheets at the table, like those essential rules that we need to know. Yeah, I can't expect you to run out and buy the player's handbook, but if I can put together a crib sheet for you,
sure.
Or better yet, it's probably already done by somebody else out there in the interwebs. They've put it out there to share. Grab that. It's probably already done for you. I think finally just embrace the chaos that a new game can sometimes bring as everybody tries to wrap their head around it. It's going to be a little messy. Be okay with that.
And as always, session 0.
Yeah.
All day. Even more important here. I liked that idea that Platonics had. Man, he had the rules broken down on the monitor and
on the TV
and was showing everybody these are the rules changes.
The PowerPoint.
I love it. I love it.
We're going to sit through a presentation.
Yeah. New tabletop and you.
No nodding off.
That's great.
Right? No, I like it. Again, thanks to all those fine folks over on that RPG subreddit.
Absolutely.
And thanks to you for listening. Once again, it's been Thieves Can't. If you want to reach out, as always, at Thieves Can't Cast on the socials, on YouTube, at Thieves Can't Podcast, and email, hate or otherwise, thievescan'tcast@gmail.com. Chris, you want to hit me with that voice one more time before we wrap?
Anything you want. That's what I'm here for.
Tell me what's for lunch today.
What's for lunch? It's probably going to be a hot dog, microwave style, like they do it in France.
You microwave your hot dogs to the point where they explode?
No.
Like the ends burst?
I like to plump them. I like to plump them.
So
hear that little sizzle.
The use of the microwave is for plumping purposes only.
Yeah,
is that
just
correct?
a little plumping. Toss them on the bun. It's good. If I have buns. I don't think I have buns. So I can't afford a new RPG. I can't even afford hot dog buns. What's going on here?
Hey, have a great week of gaming ahead. A great week in general. We'll catch you next time. Again, it's been Thieves' Cant. I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Chris.
So long.
Thank you for listening to Thieves' Cant. Email thievescantcast@gmail.com.